Our next unit is a statistics unit, and we're going to be conducting a survey and collecting data and analyzing that data. First of all, we need to know how can we collect data in a way that gives us the best results, meaning the most accurate response for the group that we're interested in studying. There's the population, which is the large group that you're interested in. For example, you might want the opinion of all students at Park High School. That would be your population. But it's not very easy to interview every single student that attends Park, so you would pick a smaller subgroup called a sample of students to get their opinion, and then you make generalizations about everybody at Park. What you really want is a random sample, meaning everybody in the group has an equal chance of being chosen to be surveyed. There's 3 different ways to get a random sample. One is something like drawing names out of a hat. That's called a simple random sample. There's a systematic random sample where, for example, every 10th person that walks in the door, you would survey them. And finally, there's stratified random sample. That's when you break it into subgroups. So you could break it into freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and then randomly survey 50 students within each subgroup. Our first goal for this is to determine if we can recognize which type of random sample is being used in each situation. Our first situation, we have a testing service breaking colleges into groups based on size, and then randomly choosing one school from each group to survey. This would be stratified because they broke it into groups before they chose who to survey. So stratified is when you have it into groups. You've seen me do this before when I use my iPad to randomly call on volunteers. This is a simple random sample. Everybody in the group has an equal chance of being chosen. A mall is interested in opinions of their customers, so they put an employee at each entrance and have them ask every 10th person that walks in the door. This would be systematic, that is at an interval. Either time interval, so it could have been every half an hour they ask the person walking in the door, or every, in this case, 10th person. A lot of surveys that are conducted end up being biased, which means that not everybody in the group had an equal chance of being chosen, or they used a survey method that set them up to have biased results. We're going to take a look at a couple of examples and talk about why these results might be biased instead of being a random sample. Our first one, the mall, again, interviewing customers. They put them at the center of the mall at 11 a.m. and surveyed the first 100 people to walk by. This would be a biased survey because they're only surveying people in the mall at 11 a.m. If this is a Monday through Friday, people like myself who work Monday through Friday are not at the mall, so they're not getting my opinion at all. If it's on a weekday, some people like to go to the mall at night, so they're not getting their opinion either. So we're going to say that this one is biased because of the time constraint. Part B, why might it be biased if a telemarketer calls and says, "Hi, would you like to answer a few questions?" This is what's called a voluntary survey. Typically, the people who answer voluntary surveys have strong opinions one way or another. If you're kind of middle of the road on whatever it is they're surveying, you might go, I don't really care to give my opinion. But if you really love it or you really hate it, you're going to say, yes, I want to tell you what I think about it. As I mentioned, we're going to get into our stats project. Think about a way that you could get a random sample of students at Park based on each of these 3 survey methods. So there's the random method where it's kind of like drawing names out of a hat. Systematic is when you go by intervals, either time or person intervals in this case. And finally stratified, if you break it into groups and then survey people within each group.